If an asteroid like Apophis hits Earth, we will be destroyed. Massive earthquakes will strike, and tsunamis will flood everything. Apophis is a billion-year-old celestial body that has been in the solar system since its inception. So you might be thinking, well, how likely is it that this giant space stone will collide with our planet in 2029? Well, let's find out, shall we? Apophis is a big, bad asteroid discovered in 2004 by the Kitt Peak National Observatory in Arizona. Since then, it has proudly held the title of one of the most dangerous asteroids ever located. It's around 1,100 feet wide, which is a bit bigger than the Empire State Building and the Eiffel Tower. Because of how scary it is, it was named Apophis, like the Egyptian immortal creature that was considered to bring eternal darkness and destruction to Earth. Oh boy. In 2021, researchers had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to study this floating rock when it passed near our planet, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, some scientists say that there is a small chance of Apophis hitting the Earth on Friday, April 13, 2029. The Yarkovsky effect is to blame for this, since it can slightly nudge this space rock towards Earth. This effect originates from the uneven emission of thermal photons from a rotating celestial object, resulting in a fascinating force exerted upon it in space. These emitted photons possess momentum and play a pivotal role in shaping the dynamics of the body. The asteroid has two sides, light and dark, just like the Moon. The light side faces the Sun and is warmer than the dark side. But the thing also turns, so the sides constantly change direction and temperature. This change could be detrimental because it slightly pushes Apophis toward Earth. Unfortunately, nobody knows how the Yarkovsky effect will influence the asteroid's path. On the other hand, on the asteroid's last flyby of Earth in 2021, astronomers used radar to take accurate measurements of its trajectory and confidently concluded Apophis will safely miss Earth in 2029 by about 20,000 miles and won't bother us again for at least 100 years. Now, generally speaking, every 8,000 years, our planet is hit by a falling star that has similar dimensions to those of Apophis. The last time we were hit by a slightly smaller meteor was in 2013. A new spacecraft developed by NASA called the OSIRIS-REx was launched in 2016 to collect samples from another slightly less terrifying celestial body called Bennu. 4 years later, it finally arrived at the thing, got some samples, quickly said goodbye to Bennu, and started traveling back towards Earth. The samples were safely stored in a capsule dropped in Utah. So far, this has been the most significant sample ever taken from an asteroid. After the delivery, the spacecraft didn't waste any time and started chasing Apophis. Now, OSIRIS-REx has been renamed to OSIRIS-APEX and is currently playing tag with Apophis. With some luck, on the 2nd of April 2029, when the asteroid zips close by Earth, the spacecraft will reach Apophis and land on it. It will stay on Apophis for 18 months, collecting valuable information and taking thousands of pictures. The asteroid will be monitored with the help of powerful telescopes. At some point, Apophis will get too close to the Sun, and then all the monitoring work will be on Osiris's apex back. If you live in Europe, West Asia, or Africa, you're one of those lucky people who will have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see Apophis with the unaided eye. It'll be visible in the sky in these regions in 2029, and those who have telescopes will be able to spot it once again in 2036. OSIRIS-APEX will experience some problems because the asteroid has a thick crust, and the spacecraft won't be able to collect data as easily as it did with Bennu. OSIRIS-APEX has a unique thruster that will blow all the dust from Apophis while landing. This will be a perfect chance to analyze the surface of the asteroid to see what it's made of. The craft will spend 1.5 years mapping the asteroid, trying to detect changes in its shape. All this research will show how the celestial body is likely to move so we can better design plans to protect Earth from such things. In 2025, NASA is also going to launch the mission Apophis Pathfinder, and it will be the first spaceship to ever touch this asteroid. It will land approximately a year after its launch. Also, NASA has proposed sending a swarm of tiny craft into space to help humanity develop effective protective tactics against asteroid strikes. We know that Apophis originated in the primary asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. In the past million years, this celestial body has changed its path because of the considerable influence of Jupiter's gravitation. Now it seems like it favors the Sun more, meaning this asteroid will come very close to Earth. That's why it's classified as a near-Earth celestial body. A lot of tests and research have been done to find a way to deal with asteroids. Some solutions include drilling and detonating the space body from inside, or testing new technologies, like attaching rockets to it and trying to steer it away from Earth. We can also hit it with something moving at high speeds to make it change its course. Apophis is an S-type asteroid made of rocks and minerals like iron and nickel, and is shaped like a peanut. It can tell us a lot about the past and possibly the future. Sampling this space object could reveal how life on Earth began and how plants appeared. There are many theories that suggest that water arrived on our planet on an asteroid or a comet. Asteroids are like priceless time capsules. Unlike rocks on Earth, which have undergone thousands of changes, like erosion, most celestial bodies are still intact and much easier to study. When meteors fall on Earth, they get covered in debris that's impossible to clean. That's why studying Apophis while it's still in space is so important. Also, some asteroids are made of precious metals like platinum. Right now, we have a high demand for metals that we use in production, and mining metals on Earth is quite tricky. Just one large meteor might have iron, nickel, gold, and platinum that could last us millions of years. If Apophis has this amount of metals, well, we'd want to break it down and bring it back to Earth. One space rock could be worth quadrillions of dollars, making space mining highly profitable. And still, it would cost us more to get it back to Earth than to dig up these materials here. As technology progresses and new kinds of rockets are developed, this might become possible at some point. So, even though we're safe for the next 100 years from Apophis, you probably still want to see what would happen if something like it did impact. Come on, sure you do. Well, first let me tell you, you'll hear the sound of the collision and know what's happened even if you're miles away. You should leave your house or apartment immediately. Shortly after the impact, massive earthquakes will strike, and many tall buildings will fall. So, staying away from cities might be your best option if you have a choice. But don't escape by car. There will be massive traffic jams, and everyone will panic. Going on foot or by bike is your best option in this scenario. A prime way of transportation will be traveling by plane, so if you've always wanted to get that pilot license, now you've got a good excuse. If you have time, take along extra snacks and water, and an extra pair of socks. It's nice to live by the ocean or the sea, but in this scenario, it's the worst place to be, because giant tsunami waves will hit coastlines after the impact. If you live far away from the impact area, the tsunami might take 30 hours to arrive. You'll have a bit of time to prepare.
Remember that asteroid that wiped dinosaurs off the face of the Earth? Brace yourself, we might witness a similar scenario in our lifetimes. And this time, the consequences might even be more catastrophic. There's just one tiny difference. This new asteroid is likely to smack into the moon. No, this is not a sci-fi scenario anymore. There's this asteroid called 2024 YR4 that scientists say has about a 4% chance of hitting the moon in 2032. So what do we do? Try to gently shove it off course or blow it up? A bunch of researchers, including people from NASA, dug into this and suggested several options. Their worry is real. If that rock hits the moon, it could kick up a massive cloud of debris. and this cloud could spike to as much as 1,000 times normal levels for a few days. That's not just messy, it could endanger astronauts and satellites in low Earth orbit. One obvious idea is to nudge the asteroid so it misses the moon. Another is a full-on breakup. Basically, a deliberate explosion. Experts use a clever term to describe it, a robust disruption. But nuking an asteroid is totally untested. Nobody has ever done it before, and it carries huge risks. You could create a bunch of smaller but more dangerous fragments, or do something unexpected that can make things worse. In any case, the idea is out there for scientists to chew on. Now here's the backstory. 2024 YR4 was first spotted on December 27, 2024, and reported to the Minor Planet Center. That's the official hub that tracks all new asteroids and comets. Pretty soon, it showed up on NASA's Century Impact Risk Table, which is like the agency's watch list for any asteroid that could potentially hit Earth. For a little while, things looked sketchy. Out of 37,000 plus known large asteroids, YR4 was the only one with a real chance of smacking into Earth anytime soon. Its odds even climbed to a record 3.1%.
That might not sound like much to such amateurs as me and you, but in space terms, that's huge. Scientists were really paying attention. Luckily, after a few more months of better tracking and sharper observations, they nailed down the asteroid's orbit more precisely. Turns out its path isn't taking it anywhere near us after all. Its chance of hitting Earth has dropped so low it's basically zero now. So, we can breathe out and relax. Earth is safe. But the moon? Maybe not. And that's why researchers are now debating whether to blow the thing up before it ever gets close. The thing is, asteroid 2024 YR4 is pretty big. Based on what the James Webb Space Telescope saw, it's about 220 feet long, roughly the size of a 20-story building. Not exactly a pebble, I'd say. At first, NASA thought there was only around a 1.7% chance that YR4 would crash into the moon. But then, the Webb telescope checked again in March, and that number jumped to 3.8% right away. By May, it climbed once again. It was already sitting at about 4.3%. In other words, the more they looked, the more likely it seemed that this space rock might actually hit our natural satellite. On the bright side, these new observations helped NASA figure out where exactly the asteroid would be on December 22, 2032, with about 20% better accuracy. Now, if the asteroid really did smash into the moon, NASA says it wouldn't mess with its orbit or make it wobble or anything dramatic like that. And this is a very big but a hit from something that large would kick up a ton of debris. And that flying space junk could become a real problem for satellites orbiting Earth, or even for astronauts on the International Space Station. That sounds alarming enough. That's why the story might take a turn straight out of a sci-fi movie. Scientists are seriously considering blowing the asteroid up. But unlike in a movie, this isn't about saving Earth this time. The most extreme idea is to launch a bunch of nuclear explosives at the asteroid before it reaches the moon. The thinking is, if they can blow it to pieces while it's still far away, the debris will scatter safely into space instead of causing problems near Earth. But of course, there's the catch. While scientists know roughly how big YR4 is, they don't know exactly how much it weighs. And that's a huge problem. Without knowing its mass, space agencies can't design a precise mission to knock it off course. In theory, they could send out a reconnaissance spacecraft first, something to get close to the asteroid, measure it up, and figure out the best way to push it away. But researchers say there just isn't enough time. By the time we'd collect all the needed data and build the right hardware, it'd be too late to intercept the asteroid before the 2032 impact window. So instead of a gentle space nudge, some experts suggest going full Armageddon-style, that very robust disruption. Translated into human, it's blasting the asteroid apart with nuclear explosions. Sure enough, this idea comes with a massive risk. What if the explosion accidentally changes the asteroid's path and sends some fragments toward Earth? The researchers admit it's a possibility, but still think nuking it could be the most practical solution, given the circumstances. If the mission ever happens, it would need to launch sometime between 2029 and late 2031. This would give it just enough time to reach and intercept the asteroid before it gets too close to the moon. Now, nuking space rocks might sound over the top, but NASA actually has some experience with asteroid defense. Back in 2022, they pulled off something groundbreaking with their Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART. That mission was all about proving that humans could physically change an asteroid's path without using explosives. NASA launched a small spacecraft in November 2021, and after almost a year of travel, it crashed head-on into a tiny asteroid named Dimorphos at about 14,000 miles per hour. The idea was simple. If you hit an asteroid hard enough, you can slightly change its orbit, just enough to make it miss Earth someday. And it actually worked. The test showed that even a relatively small spacecraft could make a serious difference. Now, the European Space Agency wants to double-check exactly how much of an effect that crash had. In October 2024, they launched a follow-up spacecraft called Hera from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Hera's on a 2-year journey to reach Dimorphos and its bigger partner asteroid, Didymos. By October 2026, Hera will enter orbit around the asteroid pair and start collecting data, basically checking NASA's math. ESA scientists hope that once they analyze the impact site, they'll find out how effective DART was at changing the asteroid's trajectory. If it turns out that kinetic impact, aka smashing a spacecraft into an asteroid, works well enough, future missions might use that technique again. Maybe even for YR-4, if it ever becomes a real threat. But if it doesn't, that's when the nuclear backup plan might come off the shelf. Either way, scientists are making sure that if a space rock ever threatens Earth or the Moon, humanity will have more than just a Hollywood script to rely on. By the way, people at NASA run what-if asteroid exercises every 2 years to get scientists, state agencies, and international experts on the same page. During such asteroid drills, experts pretend that a giant space rock is heading our way. Then they work through all the tricky questions they can come up with, like how big is it, where might it hit, what should we do? It's like a massive brainstorming session to make sure that if this ever happens, we won't be starting from scratch. To make these scenarios feel as real as possible, NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies gets involved. These are the folks who track real asteroids and calculate their orbits. So they simulate months of asteroid observations, complete with uncertainties about its size, trajectory, and potential impact zones. No one knows exactly how big the asteroid is or where it can hit. It's the kind of uncertainty that makes decision-making way harder, just like it would be in real life.
That tiny dot in the sky is an asteroid called 2024 YR4. And it gave scientists a serious scare. Early projections showed a 2.3% chance that it could hit Earth. That might sound small, but for an object big enough to wipe out a city, it was enough to raise alarms. Now, there's good news and bad news. The good, it's no longer on a collision course with our planet. The bad, it might be heading for the moon instead. Astronomers first spotted it in the El Sos Observatory in Chile, back in December 2024. Judging by how bright it appeared, they estimated its size to be somewhere between 130 and 300 feet wide. That's about the size of a football field. If something this big hit Earth, it could be truly catastrophic. I mean, not on the level of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, but still enough to destroy an entire city, depending on where it lands. Drop it over Paris, London, or New York, and you're looking at complete devastation across the city and nearby areas. That's why it was considered one of the most dangerous space rocks to ever come near us. It makes total sense that this asteroid became a bit of a celebrity. From the moment it was discovered up until February 2025, the risk of a collision just kept climbing. But now we can breathe a little easier. New calculations from NASA have completely ruled out any chance of impact. In fact, there's no serious threat from this asteroid for at least the next 100 years. Okay, But how did we go from this is a threat to, oops, we were wrong? That happens quite often, actually. I mean, an asteroid seems risky at first, then it gets even riskier, and then, out of nowhere, it's suddenly safe. Does that mean we can't trust their math? You see, the first time specialists spot an asteroid, it's really just a tiny dot of light in the sky. At that point, they have no idea what it is or where it's headed. Then they have to observe it again and do some math. That will help them figure out the path they're moving on. But even then, it's still a bit uncertain. They don't really know where the asteroid is going, so the risk corridor is this huge area where it could fly through. If any part of that corridor crosses Earth, the asteroid is considered a threat. Usually, at least 3 observations are needed to figure out its orbit. Basically, how fast it's moving and where it's headed. A lot of times, as they start to get a clearer picture, the risk zone still overlaps with Earth, so it looks more dangerous at first. But typically, as they keep tracking it, the risk zone gets smaller and moves away from Earth, and suddenly, the risk drops. And they keep narrowing down the uncertainties until they can confidently say, "Relax, y'all, it's not heading for Earth." And that's exactly what happened to just our famous 2024 YR4. So, we can all relax a bit now, right? Yeah, we know that 2024 YR4 won't hit us, but it could end up crashing into the moon instead. At first, projections said there was a 1.7% chance of that happening in 2032, but recently, that number has gone up a little to 3.8%. If it does hit the moon, though, it won't be dangerous for us. I mean, there won't be any shockwaves felt here on Earth, and the moon isn't gonna crack in half. Experts say nothing really shocking or concerning would happen, but it would be an awesome opportunity to see a lunar impact. If we're lucky, we might even catch the exact moment it happens. And if we miss it, we will still get to observe a brand new crater on our natural satellite. Such events are pretty common for the moon, since it doesn't have an atmosphere to protect it from incoming debris. In fact, there are hundreds of detectable impacts each year. See those bright spots lighting up? These are real images of asteroids hitting the moon. But specialists aren't just sitting around and waiting. They've been keeping an eye on lunar impacts for years. For example, the European Space Agency has a project called Neliota, where they use a powerful telescope in Greece to track these impacts. They've recorded over 100 tiny explosions from space rocks hitting the moon. They also have the Lumio mission, which is a small satellite that counts lunar impact flashes on the far side of the moon, the side we can't see from Earth. These observations help scientists understand how often the moon gets hit and how this might affect astronauts and lunar bases. Now, 2024 YR4 might be a special case. That's because most space objects that collide with the moon are really small. We've never seen a collision with something larger than about 160 feet. If YR4 does hit, it could be an amazing sight. So yeah, scientists are kinda hoping it happens. But 2024 YR4 isn't the only asteroid on the radar. There are actually quite a few others that have been classified as potentially hazardous. In simple terms, that means this one might cause us some trouble. You see, there are millions of big space rocks out there in the solar system, mostly chilling in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. But only a few ever get close to Earth, and even fewer actually pose any real risk. NASA calls asteroids that orbit within 30 million miles of Earth near-Earth objects. And within that group, there's a smaller bunch of really big ones that orbit super close to us. If one of those were to hit us, it could be a big deal. There are about 2,500 of those asteroids at least that we know of. But here's the good news. Specialists don't expect any of them to hit Earth anytime soon. A few might come pretty close though, or already have, like the 2014 TN17, an asteroid that's about 540 feet wide. It got pretty close to us in March 2025, zipping by just 3.2 million miles from Earth. that's roughly 13 times further than the Moon. So yeah, not exactly close, right? But when you think about the vastness of the universe, it's actually kind of near. In fact, that was the closest this asteroid has come to Earth in nearly 300 years. Thankfully, nothing happened, and that asteroid has already drifted away from Earth again. But it's not like you need to lose sleep over asteroids that could hit our planet. Little asteroids enter Earth's atmosphere every single day. It's the big ones we worry about, like the ones you see in Hollywood movies, like Armageddon. But asteroids like that are being constantly monitored. All the objects we know of today have 0 or 1 chance of impacting Earth. And if things change, there are a few strategies that could be used to save humanity from an impact. Take the DART mission, for example, which happened in 2022. This was NASA's first test of planetary defense. They successfully managed to deflect an asteroid off its course using a spacecraft. In this case, the asteroid didn't pose any threat to Earth, but it was the perfect test subject. There are also more experimental ideas out there. For example, lasers could vaporize part of an asteroid to create a thrust effect, pushing it off course. Another idea is the gravity tractor, a big spacecraft that slowly tugs the asteroid away using its own gravitational pull. But all of these are still just ideas for now. If we can't pull any of those off, authorities would probably still have enough time to evacuate the impact zones. So yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about an asteroid impact.
A huge asteroid, several hundred feet across, is dashing towards Earth through the black nothingness of the cosmos. Ooh. Brace for the terrible news. There's a 72% chance it might hit Earth in 14 years, with potential impact zones being North America, Southern Europe, and North Africa, some of the most densely populated areas on the planet. Astronomers have been keeping a close eye on the space invader for a few months, but now it's moved too close to the Sun, and tracking it is impossible for the next 7 months. Of course, there's a 28% chance that it will miss our planet altogether. But what if it doesn't? Global devastation and destruction, that's what. Thousands of lives lost, billions and billions of dollars in damage, entire species wiped off the face of the Earth, ruined cities and towns, destroyed fields and forests. We're left wondering whether it's the future awaiting for us. Well, now you can breathe easy. That's just a hypothetical scenario created by NASA to prepare for a situation like this. The space agency has been thinking about this kind of disaster for years. Even cooler, they run what-if asteroid exercises every 2 years to get scientists, state agencies, and international experts on the same page. The last one occurred in April. Over 100 people took part in that event. During such asteroid drills, experts pretend that a giant space rock is heading our way. Then they work through all the tricky questions they can come up with, like how big is it? Where might it hit? What should we do? It's like a massive brainstorming session to make sure that if it ever happens, we won't have to start from scratch. To make these scenarios feel as real as possible, NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies gets involved. These are folks who track real asteroids and calculate their orbits. So they simulate months of asteroid observations, complete with uncertainties about its size, trajectory, and potential impact zones. It's the kind of uncertainty that makes decision-making way harder, just like it would be in real life. Now, if an astronaut really was aiming at Earth, it wouldn't be just one country's problem. It would be everyone's. That's why this exercise brings in international experts. In April, it happened for the first time. They worked alongside U.S. agencies like NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office and FEMA to understand how the world might respond to such a crisis, since an asteroid impact would have dire consequences globally. Now, the big question is, can we actually stop an asteroid from hitting Earth? Here, there are two main options experts consider. First, we could send a spacecraft to gather more info. If we knew more about the asteroid's size, mass, and orbit, we'd be able to make better decisions about what to do next. The second option is to try to deflect it. Basically, it means bumping the asteroid off its course so that it misses Earth. This might sound impossible, but NASA's DART mission has already proven that we can do it. 2 years ago, they crashed a spacecraft into a small asteroid called Dimorphos and successfully changed its orbit. It was a huge victory for planetary defense. But missions like that take tons of time to plan, prepare, and carry out. That's why spotting dangerous asteroids as early as possible is so important. Currently, NASA is working on a new telescope called NEO-Surveyor, which is set to launch in 2027. Unlike good old telescopes, NEO-Surveyor is designed to detect even the trickiest asteroids, including ones orbiting close to the Sun. It'll give us a better chance to act early and potentially stop an asteroid before it becomes a threat. If you still think that an asteroid impact is something out of science fiction and the threat isn't real, how about this? Early on Sunday, January 21st, a small asteroid about 3 feet wide entered Earth's atmosphere and luckily burned up over Germany. NASA's Scout Impact System spotted it 95 minutes before it hit and predicted exactly when and where it would arrive. At 1:32 a.m. local time, the asteroid turned into a blazing bright fireball, visible as far away as the Czech Republic. Some small meteorites might have landed near the impact site, about 37 miles west of Berlin. This is just the 8th time ever that an asteroid has been detected before it hit Earth. It's a splendid example of how tools like Scout are helping us track asteroids and prepare for anything bigger that might come our way. Here's another example. A small asteroid turned the skies over northeastern Siberia into a breathtaking light show on December the 4th, burning up harmlessly in Earth's atmosphere. The space rock, about 28 inches across, was spotted just hours before it hit. Thanks to observations from astronomers around the world, a special alert system managed to predict the impact to plus or minus 10 seconds. The asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere at 1:15 a.m. local time. The authorities were put on alert, but there was no damage reports. NASA's Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, or ATLAS, spotted the rock 12 hours before it entered the atmosphere. This makes it the 4th imminent impactor, which is an asteroid discovered within hours of its expected impact, detected this year, and the 11th overall. Now, China also has big plans for planetary defense. They're working on their first mission to hit an asteroid, and it's got a double purpose. One spacecraft will crash into the asteroid, and the other will hang back to study the whole thing for up to a year. In other words, it's not just about protecting Earth, it's also a way to learn more about the solar system. The target is an asteroid called 2015 XF261, which is a mouthful, and also about 100 feet wide. It flew by Earth recently on July 9, passing us at 31 million miles. True, it's pretty far away, but the space traveler was zooming by at a speed of 26,000 miles per hour, 30 times faster than the speed of sound. China is going to send a space probe to study the asteroid. They're hoping to learn more about its structure and composition, which could help us with future planetary defense missions. Then they plan to hit the asteroid with another spacecraft to test the impact, and the first space probe will stay there to observe the remains for up to a year. Timing is critical for this mission, and the asteroid offers some good opportunities in the next few years. Thus, in March and May of 2027, the asteroid will pass within 20 million miles of Earth. In April 2028, it'll get even closer. By that I mean 13 million miles away. A year later, in April 2029, the asteroid will end up just 4.2 million miles away, making it the best shot for a mission. Another decent chance will be April 2030. That's when the asteroid will pass our planet at 4.4 million miles. To give you some context, NASA's DART mission once targeted an asteroid 7 million miles away, and the trip took 10 months. So China's planners have to pick the right moment, depending on how long their spacecraft will need to get there. The mission is expected to start around 2027. At the same time, this won't be China's first attempt to target an asteroid. Back in 2023, they were planning a planetary defense test with a different asteroid, which is also about 100 feet wide. It's not clear why they switched to the current one, probably because the timing works better. Most asteroids are basically time capsules from 4.6 billion years ago, leftovers from when the solar system was just forming. Studying them could tell us a lot about how planets, including Earth, came to be. So, China's taking on something that combines planetary defense and pure space science. They're definitely making big moves in the space exploration game. So, how do you feel about cooking? Nah, pasta and burgers are overrated. How about something more exotic, or rather, more cosmic? So, the recipe is simple. Take a team of enthusiastic astronomers and add some old images from the James Webb Space Telescope. Stir really well, and you'll get a shocking number of tiny asteroids in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Yummy! The highlight of this dish is the direction in which some of the asteroids are moving, because in their way, there's our poor planet. Are we doomed just because you decided to cook? Now, the asteroids I'm talking about are much smaller than the massive space rock that wiped out the dinosaurs, but they can still cause considerable damage. They range in size from as small as a bus to as big as a stadium. But even those small ones pack quite a punch. Let's look at a recent dramatic example. It happened on February 15, 2013. A small asteroid just tens of feet wide exploded in an airburst over Chelyabinsk in Siberia, releasing an insane amount of energy. Many people witnessed and recorded the event, and it gave scientists vital clues. New computer models helped scientists reconstruct the size, speed, and impact of the Chelyabinsk meteor. It was likely an asteroid, about the size of a 5-story building, exploding from 15 to 18 miles above Earth's surface with an enormous, incomparable force. The blast shattered 1 million windows and hurt over 1,000 people. Fortunately, it wasn't powerful enough to cause too much damage, but it gave us an idea about how dangerous an airburst can be. Now, an airburst occurs when an object explodes high in the atmosphere, never striking the ground, but releasing enough energy to devastate the area. But back to the small asteroids. The most dangerous thing about them is that they hit the Earth far more often than the larger ones, about 10,000 times more frequently. To make matters worse, their small size makes them harder to detect in advance, leaving little time for preparation if one is heading towards Earth. Now, let's travel back in time. Uh-oh, dinosaurs, too far back. Ah, there we go. A team of astronomers is working on a special method to find small asteroids in telescope images that were originally taken to study distant stars. Using this method, they've looked through thousands of JWST images of a star system called TRAPPIST-1. It's located 40 light-years away and is one of the most studied systems outside our solar system. Now, while analyzing these images, they discovered 138 new asteroids in the main asteroid belt, plus 8 they already knew about. And guess what? Among the newly found asteroids, 6 seem to have been pushed into paths that could bring them closer to Earth. Who did it? Well, probably nearby planets. Are they holding a grudge against Earth? Interestingly, scientists thought they'd find just a few new asteroids, but the number was much higher than they expected. Yet, it's no wonder. Right now, they're exploring a part of space they didn't know much about before. Now, let's talk about the hero of the day, the James Webb Space Telescope. It's especially good at finding small asteroids because it can detect their heat. These asteroids give off infrared radiation, which is much easier to see than the faint sunlight that reflects off their surfaces. This technology allowed scientists to spot the smallest asteroids ever seen in the main asteroid belt. The asteroids they found are pieces left over from collisions between bigger space rocks. Finding them helps astronomers understand the history of the asteroid belt and improve methods for tracking small asteroids that could threaten Earth. The researchers are planning to use James Webb to observe other star systems for at least 500 hours. They expect this work to uncover thousands more small asteroids in the solar system. Other advanced telescopes, like the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile, will also help. Starting in 2025, this observatory will use the world's largest digital camera to photograph the southern sky every night for at least 10 years. Each image will cover a huge area of the sky, about 40 times the size of the full moon. The observatory might find up to 2.5 million asteroids in just 6 months, almost doubling the number we know about. Recently, NASA has identified 2 small asteroids. They were supposed to pass near Earth on December 16, 2024. Luckily, neither posed any danger to our planet. The first asteroid was 71 feet wide, about the size of a large airplane, and was traveling at 10,800 miles per hour. The second asteroid was slightly smaller, 56 feet wide, but it traveled faster at 14,700 miles per hour. But hey, even though this time the danger is past, who knows what the future will bring? It may sound weird these days, but astronomers didn't really care much about small asteroids for a rather long time. They thought of them as just random space debris that got in the way of observing stars. Some even called them sky parasites. But now, the way we see these little space rocks has completely changed. You see, until recently, we could only spot really big asteroids, those over a mile wide. The smaller ones just blended into the background noise in telescope images. But then, a clever trick appeared where multiple images of the same part of the sky were combined, making those faint small objects finally stand out. The data from certain telescopes, along with the James Webb Space Telescope, helps us improve planetary defense. But there's more to it than just protecting our planet. Studying these small asteroids also teaches us about how the solar system evolved. There are so many of them because they're fragments from collisions between bigger space rocks. One researcher has said this is like looking at old data in a new way. These small asteroids, which people used to think of as space junk, are crucial for understanding our solar system and even preparing for whatever the future holds. Among those hundreds of millions of rocks orbiting the Sun in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, some are especially worrisome. They come close enough to Earth for it to be quite concerning. NASA classifies asteroids that orbit within 30 million miles of our planet as near-Earth objects, and those could pose a serious threat if they were to collide with our planet. Right now, NASA is closely monitoring an asteroid named Bennu. This is a fairly large space rock, measuring about 1,600 feet across. It could, potentially, crash into Earth in 159 years. First, the astronauts spotted it in 1999. So currently, experts believe that there's a small chance Bennu could drift into Earth's orbit and collide with our planet by September 24, 2182. Would it be bad? Well, to put it in perspective, Bennu is taller than the Empire State Building. If it hit Earth, it would generate 1,200 megatons of energy, an amount so massive that nothing on Earth could generate that. NASA scientists are particularly concerned about a tiny chance that Bennu could pass through a gravitational keyhole during a flyby in the 22nd century. This keyhole is a region in space that could set the asteroid on a path that brings it directly to Earth. Now, Bennu flies by Earth every 6 years and has had 3 close encounters with us in 1999, 2005, and 2011. Right now, scientists estimate that the chance of Bennu hitting Earth by 2182 is about 1 in 2,700, more than 5 times greater than the chance of being struck by lightning. Although the chances of Bennu colliding with Earth are very low right now, this space rock is still classified as a potentially hazardous asteroid because it might come as close as 4.65 million miles to Earth. Now, this asteroid is another space rock that we need to keep an eye on. It's a near-Earth object about 1,100 feet across, and it was discovered in 2004. Initially, it was considered one of the most dangerous asteroids ever detected. Apophis quickly gained attention because experts believed it could pose a serious threat to Earth because of its close approach to our planet in 2029. However, after further study of its orbit, astronomers determined that there was no risk of a collision for at least a century. Well, we can all breathe easier now, can't we?
Imagine an asteroid so full of valuable metals that it could make every person on Earth a billionaire. Well, that's not science fiction. It's 16 Psyche, a massive metallic space rock orbiting the Sun between Mars and Jupiter. It isn't just extraordinary because of its value, estimated at $10 quintillion. That's a figure that dwarfs the global economy many times over. It also has clues about the formation of planets, especially the rocky worlds like Earth. In October 2023, NASA launched the Psyche spacecraft. This mission is to explore the cosmic treasure trove. It's supposed to arrive at the asteroid in August 2029, and astronomers hope that it will give us some insights, not just about the asteroid's glittering wealth, but also about how planets form and evolve in our solar system. But what exactly makes Psyche unique? First discovered in 1852 by an Italian astronomer, it was the 16th asteroid people identified, hence its name. It stands out among the millions of space rocks in the asteroid belt for one main reason: its metallic composition. While most asteroids are rocky or icy, Psyche seems to be made primarily of iron, nickel, and possibly even gold and other rare metals. At about 173 miles wide, it isn't the largest asteroid. It's easily dwarfed by others like Ceres, but its size is still impressive. After all, its surface area is 64,000 square miles, like that of the state of Florida. Astronomers think that between 30 and 60% of the asteroid's surface might consist of precious metals. They also think that this space rock might be the exposed core of a planetesimal. A planetesimal is basically a protoplanet, a large space body in orbit around a star, developing into a planet. And this planetesimal could have grown into a full-fledged planet if it hadn't been destroyed in some catastrophic collision billions of years ago. If this theory is correct, Psyche can give us a unique glimpse into what lies deep within terrestrial planets like Earth, where planetary cores are hidden thousands of miles beneath thick crusts and mantles. Now, remember that spacecraft that went to explore the asteroid? After embarking on its ambitious mission, the Psyche probe will travel a mind-boggling 2.2 billion miles to reach its goal. This journey will take nearly 6 years. On its way to the asteroid, the spacecraft will pass by Mars in May 2026 and use the red planet's gravity to slingshot itself deeper into space. This maneuver is called a gravity assist, and it will boost the velocity of the probe and refine its trajectory toward the asteroid. By the time it reaches its goal in August 2029, the spacecraft will be set to orbit the asteroid for at least 26 months. During this time, it will analyze its surface, figure out its composition, and attempt to unravel its history. The probe is equipped with some pretty cool tools. One of them is called a multispectral imager. This instrument will snap high-resolution images of the asteroid's surface. It's supposed to help astronomers to study its texture and composition. Then, the probe has a gamma-ray and neutron spectrometer. This instrument will measure the asteroid's chemical elements, including its metal content. A magnetometer will detect a magnetic field, if any, which could confirm Psyche's origin as a planetary core. And finally, an X-band radio system will help determine the asteroid's gravity field, which can offer insights into the asteroid's internal structure. NASA isn't sending the spacecraft to assess the value of the space rock as a mining target. Well, at least not yet. The main goal of the mission is science. Researchers hope to answer fundamental questions about how planets form and evolve. And this asteroid could help us understand what happens when molten material solidifies into a core. Another question we need to answer to is, why did it fail to become a planet? And understanding the history of the asteroid might shed light on why some celestial bodies grow into planets while others don't. While NASA's mission is purely exploratory, it has also sparked interest from the point of view of asteroid mining. With its estimated worth of $10 quintillion, Psyche could theoretically supply enough raw materials to revolutionize industries on Earth. Mining it is likely to be decades away, if it ever happens altogether, but the idea still sounds amazing. At the same time, if the asteroid's metals were somehow brought to Earth, their abundance could cause the value of precious metals like gold to plummet, and it would wreak havoc on global markets. Speaking of valuable resources, let's find out how Earth got its own gold, platinum, and other rare metals. These elements, aka highly siderophile elements, have a cosmic origin story, and it's every bit as dramatic as Psyche's. These precious metals were born in violent cosmic events billions of years ago. Many appeared in kilonovae, explosive collisions between neutron stars. These metals were then scattered across space and eventually became part of the gas and dust cloud that formed our solar system. When Earth formed, those metals sank towards its iron-rich core, but not all of them ended up deep inside the planet. Destructive collisions with rogue protoplanets like the Mars-sized Theia, which most likely helped to form the Moon, trapped some elements in Earth's mantle. Recent computer models have explained how this happened. After each major collision, Earth's surface temporarily became a magma ocean, a molten layer of rock. As metals sank through the magma, they reached a partially solid layer that slowed their descent, keeping them in the mantle instead of the core. These metals then moved closer to the surface under the influence of thermal convection. That's what made them accessible for mining billions of years later. While Psyche's metals are all over the news, space has more to offer than just gold and iron. Scientists have discovered, or rather theorized, the existence of different gemstones scattered across the cosmos, like diamonds. The thing is, diamonds are made of pure carbon, and this element is abundant in the universe. On Earth, diamonds form deep in the mantle under high pressure and temperature. In space, conditions for diamond formation can occur in surprising places. For example, nanodiamonds, which are really tiny diamonds, have been found in meteorites. Sometimes they contain gases that give us clues about the early solar system. Scientists believe that it might rain diamonds on our ice giants, Neptune and Uranus. There, high pressures compress carbon into crystalline form. Researchers have also predicted that exoplanets in other solar systems could have gemstones like rubies and sapphires, depending on their size and proximity to their stars. Even Earth's moon had its own share of cosmic minerals. Scientists have found some traces of cubic zirconia in lunar rocks. So space might hold even more treasures than we've imagined. But let's get back to the Psyche mission. It might not only reveal the whole potential of space resources, but also underline the issues we could face while dealing with them. For example, mining an asteroid would require the usage of autonomous robots, machines capable of operating in harsh space environments. Plus, we would need efficient transport systems to bring materials back to Earth or process them in orbit. We would need to make sure that mining activities wouldn't damage ecosystems or space environments. There are also legal and ethical issues, like the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. It prohibits any nation from claiming sovereignty over celestial bodies. But with private companies entering the space race, debates over ownership and resource sharing are heating up. And finally, bringing such amounts of metals to Earth could destabilize global markets. So, experts suggest that space resources might be better used in space, for building habitats, satellites, and spacecraft. But no matter whether we ever mine 16 Psyche or not, its exploration will teach us more about the early solar system and the processes that shaped our planet. As of December 1st, 2024, the probe is heading for the asteroid, following the orbit around the Sun. Its journey promises not only to deepen our knowledge of the universe, but also to redefine what's possible for humanity as we reach for the stars.
Asteroids are a serious, very real danger. Some of them are big enough to cause a lot of trouble if they collide with Earth. One asteroid in particular is making headlines these days. A new study has revealed there's a small chance it could hit our planet during its close flyby in 2029. But the question is unusual. Will the asteroid survive this encounter? Apophis, which got its name from Apep, the Egyptian deity of chaos and disorder, has become one of the most infamous asteroids. Discovered in 2004, this space object is about 1,100 feet wide. It's about the height of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Because of its size and the close flyby predicted for 2029, astronomers classify Apophis as a potentially hazardous object. Those are asteroids and other space objects that pass close to Earth and are big enough that we really need to pay attention to them. Right now, scientists say the chances of a collision are slim, less than 1 in a billion. So, at the moment, we can probably claim that Earth is out of danger. But the same can't be said about the asteroid itself. When Apophis passes close to Earth in 2029, our planet's gravity is likely to shake it so violently that it may experience something like an earthquake, a cosmic asteroid quake, if you will. The stress from this gravitational force will probably cause parts of the asteroid's surface to crack off and fly into space. And even though this might not be a full-blown disaster, and the asteroid won't fall apart completely, it's very likely to lose some material during the flyby. Some of this debris might just stick around in orbit, while other bits could fly off into deep space. Over time, this catastrophe could affect Apophis's rotation, causing it to spin differently or tilt in a way it hasn't before. And this is a phenomenon scientists are really interested in, because it could teach us a lot about how asteroids react when powerful gravity is pulling on them. Now, let's get back to Earth. Well, we haven't left. Anyway, even though the asteroid isn't big enough to wipe out the planet like the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs, it's large enough to cause serious damage to a large city if it ever collided with Earth. It could mess with the climate all over the planet, too. At the moment, it looks like the space rock will sail past Earth at a distance of around 20,000 miles. It's still worryingly close, but far enough to avoid a collision. To put it in perspective, that's less than a tenth of the distance between Earth and the Moon. So while Apophis likely won't hit us, this flyby could still cause problems for some of the satellites orbiting Earth. They will be much closer to Apophis than we are. The key point is that we can't rule out a risk of a collision in a few more years. As Apophis gets closer, astronomers will keep a very close eye on its trajectory to make sure it doesn't veer off course due to the influence of Earth's gravity. In fact, this gravitational pull could actually cause some serious changes to the asteroid itself. Now, even though Apophis is not likely to cause a global disaster if it were to hit Earth, the consequences would still be pretty severe. The impact could destroy an entire city, and the resulting climate changes could mess with food production for years. It wouldn't be an extinction-level event, but it would still be a huge deal. Now, Apophis is not the only asteroid we need to worry about. Scientists are constantly on the lookout for other asteroids that could potentially cause harm to our planet. Thanks to new technology, astronomers can now track dangerous space rocks from way farther out in space. One cool new method they're using involves studying meteor showers. These showers are actually caused by long-period comets that have been orbiting the Sun for hundreds or even thousands of years. As these comets pass by, they leave a trail of dust and debris, which can end up creating meteor showers when Earth passes through them. Scientists analyze the properties of meteor showers, like their speed, direction, and where they come from. This can help them trace the particles back to their parent comet or asteroid. It's actually a big deal, because it means we might be able to spot potentially hazardous asteroids long before they get close to Earth. The upcoming Legacy Survey of Space and Time project, which is being run out of the Vera Rubin Observatory in Chile, is going to help astronomers track these space rocks from even farther away. Astronomers are going to create a detailed map of the sky and the regions where meteor showers are most likely to occur. It'll help them predict which asteroids might become a problem for Earth in the future, giving us plenty of time to prepare or come up with a plan. But even now, there are many space rocks that can potentially cause a lot of trouble to our planet. Let's look at some of them. Here's the asteroid Bennu. Astronomers discovered it in 1999. This carbon-rich rock is about 1,600 feet across. It's the height of the Shanghai World Financial Center. Didn't you know that? At the moment, this asteroid is the greatest threat to Earth that we're aware of. But don't panic yet. The collision won't happen for a long time. In fact, scientists calculate a 0.037% chance, which is about 1 in 2,700, of Bennu striking Earth on September 24, 2182. I won't be around then. If Bennu does hit our planet, the impact would release so much energy that it would be enough to cause massive destruction in a large region. But luckily, it wouldn't wipe out the entire planet. Still, if Bennu hit a city, the consequences could be catastrophic. NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft has recently visited Bennu and returned with samples, so scientists are learning more about this asteroid all the time. The next asteroid is another one to keep an eye on. It was first discovered in 1950. but wasn't seen again until 2000. Right now, scientists say there's a very slim chance, 1 in 34,500, that it could hit Earth on March 16, 2880, 800 years into the future. So, am I worried? Nah. If it did strike, it would release so much energy it could lead to a global catastrophe, potentially wiping out humanity. Or not. Our next asteroid has been discovered only recently. It was spotted in October 2023. It has a very low chance of striking Earth on October 10, 2119. Man, they got it down to the day? Now, if it were to collide with our planet, the impact would release a lot of energy, which would have a devastating effect for large areas. So, while the arrival of this asteroid is a long shot, this asteroid is still worth keeping an eye on. Now, this asteroid is known as a lost asteroid because it hasn't been seen since 2007. No wonder, it has a very uncertain orbit, and we can't predict its movements. NASA says there's a tiny chance, about 1 in 10 million, that it could strike Earth on March 3, 2030. If it did, the energy released would be able to cause huge regional damage. Finally, we've got this space wanderer. On the one hand, it hasn't been seen since 1979. On the other, scientists believe that there's a very low chance that it could hit Earth on December 14, 2113. Mark your calendars. If it did, the impact would cause a lot of damage and devastation, but it would not lead to the end of humanity. Now, in any case, even though the chances of an asteroid hitting Earth are low, the consequences of such an event could be huge. That's why scientists are so focused on studying these space rocks and tracking their movements. Thanks to new technologies, we can track dangerous objects from farther away and catch them earlier. It can give us more time to react and come up with some effective solutions.